Yeah! Ain't ready. What's up, y'all?
Hello, boys and girls. It's Miss Jayme Lamm, and here we are for another social distance story time. Welcome back, boys and girls. Today's story is called Smitty Hits the Playbooks. This is a story about a boy named Smitty who loves football. He loves football so much, boys and girls, that he forgets to do his schoolwork. Will Smitty be able to play football after all? Well, tune in and let's see. Smitty Hits the Playbooks by Wade Smith and Jayme Lamm. Illustrations by James Little. Since he was very little, Smitty dreamed of playing football. He watched the older kids in the neighborhood passing and catching, and he knew he wanted to play just like those guys, maybe even better. He longed to play for the Pop Warner Wildcats. During school, he doodled their logo and drew his favorite players. He imagined their touchdown celebrations. He had practiced his own for years. One year for Christmas, his mom gave him a Lake Highlands High School Wildcat varsity football jersey. It was Smitty's first jersey, and it made him feel like a real football player. He wore it everywhere, to school, to church, and even to Penny Whistle Park. He wore it until it didn't fit anymore. Smitty knew he belonged on the football field, but his mom wouldn't let him play. She thought it was a dangerous sport meant for bigger boys. Smitty was tall and very skinny, and his mom thought he might get hurt. When the week of tryouts came, Smitty had to convince his mom to let him play. He promised her that he'd be very safe. He'd wear all the protective gear and do everything his coaches told him to do. He begged and pleaded, and finally his mom agreed. Smitty was finally ready to live his dream. It was finally happening. After school a few days later, Smitty put on his cleats and pads, his practice jersey, and his helmet and headed out to the field. He loved playing with the kids in his neighborhood, but this was real football. Smitty wanted to make his mom proud. It didn't take long. Smitty was a natural. He wasn't as big and strong as some of the other kids, but he was super fast. No one on the other teams could keep up with him. And he was tall. He could leap over everyone on the defense and catch the ball. He scored a touchdown at almost every practice. Like many kids, Smitty thought about football so much that he ignored his schoolwork. Each night his teacher, Miss Hart, would assign math problems, spelling words, and reading assignments, but all he could think about was what a great player he would be one day. He just stopped doing his homework. When Miss Hart called on him, he became the class clown. He told her that the dog ate his homework. Everyone around him would laugh. Smitty didn't even have a dog. His mom always told him how important school was, but she worked long hours to be the best mom she could be, and she didn't know that Smitty was out playing football every afternoon instead of doing his work. But one person knew, and she didn't think it was funny. Miss Hart never laughed when Smitty made jokes about his homework. She was always very patient with her students, no matter how much they acted up in class. Smitty loved his mom so much, and at school he looked up to Miss Hart almost like she was another parent. He wanted to please them, but football was so exciting. Now, football was all Smitty could think about. He daydreamed about football even more than he did before. It got so bad that Miss Hart had to call his mom. Smitty was in for a big surprise. The Wednesday before his next big game, Smitty's mom looked very serious when she sat at the dinner table. Miss Hart says you've missed 3 homework assignments in a row and your grades are going down, she scolded. Until you start studying again and show me that you deserve to play football, you're not allowed to play. Smitty begged for another chance, but his mom meant business. Smitty could barely sleep that night. Football was his life, and now his mom wouldn't let him play. The next day at school was long and terrible. When the final bell rang, all his buddies went out to the field. Smitty had to stay in study hall. It isn't fair, he thought. I should be outside playing football too. For a few days, Smitty sulked. Then something clicked in his mind. It felt great to make his coaches and teammates proud, but if it took up all his school time, he was disappointing his mom and Miss Hart. The other kids on his team turned in their homework. If they found time to do it all, then so could Smitty. That very second, Smitty knew that if he wanted to keep playing football, school had to come first. He started working as hard at school as he did at football. It took focus and determination, plus tons of extra reading, but Smitty got his grades up. He missed 6 practices and 2 whole games. During that time, Miss Hart and Smitty's mom had regular phone calls about his progress. Even the principal checked in on him. After the math test, Miss Hart called Smitty's mother. "I'm really proud of him," Miss Hart said. "He got the highest score in the class on the test." "I think he finally realizes how important schoolwork is," his mother said, "especially if he wants to become a great football player one day." That very second, Smitty's mom and Miss Hart agreed that he had worked so hard and that it was time to let him play football again, as long as he promised to keep up with his schoolwork and pay attention during class. When his mom told him the good news, you could see the twinkle in Smitty's eyes from a mile away. Even through his glasses, his hard work had paid off. During those weeks in study hall, Smitty had missed out on what was happening on the field. A lot had changed. He hadn't heard the new plays, and the team had gotten a new quarterback. Smitty had been a star, but now he had to sit on the sidelines and patiently wait to get in the game. He decided to work even harder to show his coach, Miss Hart, and especially his mom he could do it all. It wasn't easy, but Smitty's mom had always taught him he could do anything he set his mind to doing. Smitty was focused and determined. It wasn't long before he was back on the field scoring touchdowns. But now he was also making A's and B's on his schoolwork. He was doing all his regular homework and even extra credit assignments that Miss Hart gave the class. She noticed a big change in Smitty's attitude, and she liked it. Soon, Smitty had a new routine that made time for studying and practicing. Thanks to his mom and Miss Hart, he had learned a very valuable lesson. No homework equals no football. And Smitty never wanted to have to live without playing football again. How'd you like that story, boys and girls? This one is especially for all of my sports boys and girls out there. Those of you that play basketball or football or soccer, or if you're in some sort of extracurricular activity, please, please, please learn the lesson from this story that it is important for you to do your best in your sports, but it is also important for you to do your best in your schoolwork. So just like Smitty, you need to make sure that you have created a new routine that makes time for the fun stuff and makes time for the school stuff, okay? All right, so I hope you learned a good lesson here. I know I did, because even I have to make time for the fun stuff and make time for the adult stuff. So there we go. We all learned a lesson today. All right, I'll see you next time. Until then.